Hey everybody, it is July 15th, 2011. This is Joseph Farrell with news and views from the Nefarium, and my good friend Mike Flanchard is here observing, here observing the proceedings of the day. And anyway, um, I have a couple of announcements, and then I want to talk a bit about something that I'm blogging about tomorrow, so that you'll actually be able to get this link and see my thoughts written out in more detail. But anyway, the first announcement is that next Friday we are having our members only vid chat as we usually do. That'll be at 8 p.m. Central Daylight Time, 9 for you on the East Coast, 6 for you those of you on the West Coast, 7 for those of you in the Mountain Time Zone. So yeah, that's still going ahead, and in that respect I want to mention that Daniel and I are still looking into doing the video conference. We are looking at software, and as soon as we get all that done and then contact the people I want to have for the actual conference itself, then we will go ahead and do that. Our biggest problem right now is figuring out a way on how to collect the fees and make it a two-tiered system. For the members only, there will be a reduced fee for it, and then for other people, that's going to be our biggest problem. So give us time, folks. It's going to happen, but we were planning on this ever since the website makeover at the first of the year back in January. So it's taken us a while to get here, and it may take us a little while to get to where we want to go, but we are still working on it. All right. Second announcement is that my co-author, Dr. Scott DeHart, and I sent off the contract for the book that we're authoring together with each other. We sent off the contract yesterday, Bastille Day, to Farrell House, and they will be doing this book as soon as we have the manuscript done. We're about halfway done, a little more than halfway. As soon as we have it done and to the publisher, we will let you know what the title of the book is, and what the subject is will obviously be available in the title. It is probably my most controversial book to date, and probably Dr. DeHart's most controversial bit of writing as well. But it's fitting in the line with Genes, Giants, Monsters, Men, and Grid of the Gods. To a certain extent, even Babylon's Banksters. We're setting up resolutions in this book of things that we've brought up in other books, and we are preparing the ground for sequels to this book that we are touching upon in this book. So it's yet another important book in the arch. Anyway, the news is this. This is the UK Mail Online. You see there next to my hand a picture of a mushroom cloud. All right. This article was brought to my attention by a couple of Facebook friends, and then someone else emailed me the link to this article, and I opened it up and I looked at it, and the headline is, and again, I'm blogging about this tomorrow, so you'll actually see this article, the link to the article, you'll be able to read it, but I wanted to talk about it anyway. The headline is Nuclear Waste from Hitler's Secret A-Bomb Program Found in Mine. And the article goes on. This is an article that appeared in the UK Daily Mail. And it's important for you to understand that the Daily Mail in the UK is a tabloid newspaper. It would be like National Enquirer over here, although the UK Mail is of, in my opinion, a slightly better standard. In other words, it's somewhere between an ordinary newspaper and what we would call a tabloid in the kinds of stories it runs. But here in the second line, the very second paragraph in this article, it says more than 126,000 barrels of nuclear material lie rotting over 2,000 feet below ground in an old salt mine. And rumor has it that the bodies of some of the nuclear scientists that were working on Hitler's atom bomb project are also lying there in this mine. Now, the reason that this is a really important story is twofold, in my opinion. Number one, you're seeing it come out in the in what might be considered kind of a major tabloid press in the United Kingdom. It's not made its way into the respectable papers like the London Times or the Daily Torygraph, as some British people call it, or the Guardian. So in other words, the three major newspapers in the United Kingdom are not running this story yet, but it's almost there because it is getting major media play by being run in the UK Mail online. And that's the first interesting thing about it. The second interesting thing is that, as this article itself points out, and this is what I found really interesting, as this article itself points out, this is evidence that the old post-war Allied legend, as I like to call it, of Nazi nuclear bungling and incompetence is beginning to fall apart. Because to get 126,000 barrels, even if the barrels are only the size of your standard coffee can, all right, even if we're looking at barrels that are really small, that's a lot of nuclear waste for an incompetent nuclear program to be producing. All right, that's the problem here. And the story even goes on to mention the alleged Nazi atom bomb test that I talk about in my very first book on the subject, Reich of the Black Sun, begins to talk about the alleged nuclear tests that the Nazis did on the island of Rügen, or close to the island of Rügen, in October of 1944, and then a later test of something that appears to be a nuclear device at the troop parade ground at Ohrdruf in Germany in March of 1945. So in other words, the story of Nazi nuclear bungling is beginning finally, after years and years of researchers like myself pointing out that there are a lot of problems in the story, the history of the nuclear bomb that we've been told. There are a lot of problems with the story of Nazi nuclear incompetence that we've been told. And it's beginning to unravel. Now, the other thing that I want to point out, and I mentioned this in the blog tomorrow, is that at the end of this article, bring it over here so you can see it, right about here when you get the link, at the end of this article, they mention that there are a lot of documents concerning the Nazi nuclear program that are still classified in Berlin, and the German Greenpeace movement, the environmental movement, is attempting to pressure the German government to release these documents. Now, the article does not tell you why that is significant. The first thing is, the documents that they're probably referring to are probably those in the old U.S. government Berlin Document Center. In other words, at the end of the war, when Berlin was divided up into the various zones of occupation, the old Third Reich archives, a great deal of those archives fell into American hands, and the United States opened up basically its own version of the Third Reich archives, which it called the Berlin Document Center. And many of those documents indeed stayed in Germany under American control, under American occupation. And those documents were kept classified, all right? So in all probability, we're looking at documents that are still under classification by the United States. Some of them may have been turned over to the German government, and the German government has kept them classified as well. I think the reason that they are kept classified, and this is a very important point, I think the reason that they're kept classified is that not so much the science involved, because the science of the 1940s would by now have long been eclipsed. I think that what we're looking at is a political story. The documents would reveal not only the extent of Nazi success in atomic bomb engineering, but they might reveal what I have been implying all along, that a very, very dirty deal at the end of the war was worked out between some of the highest members of the government of the Third Reich, up to and perhaps including Martin Bormann himself, and the American authorities, to turn over a lot of those nuclear secrets to the United States covertly at the end of the war, bypassing even the British. So in other words, I think a lot of details about that deal with the devil that the United States made are keeping these documents classified. And I suspect eventually either the German government will open up its own possession of what archives that the United States has turned back over to it. I suspect the German government will eventually open some of those up. But it's important to note that these documents now form a political tool. They form a bit of political leverage. So it's going to be an interesting story to watch in the future. We're not done with this Nazi atom bomb story and the documents that would incriminate the American role at the end of World War II in bringing over Nazi technology, Nazi scientists into this country. I think there is, as we watch world tensions rise and Europe, particularly Germany, kind of trying to feel out an independent course for itself, these documents in this story are perhaps going to enter into the picture a little bit more. Anyway, an interesting story. Look for it tomorrow on tomorrow's blog. I'll be back this weekend if there's any other news I need to comment on, but I'm not promising that. So, always check in, and hope to see you on the flip side, everybody. God bless.